Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks a lot for doing these briefings and in advance for the one tomorrow. I wanted to, this dispute around withdrawal and what the length of time of notice should be, I obviously don't, can you say, like, I mean, I've heard some people say it should be longer. It should be longer so that it's harder to quickly develop, and some people saying there should be shorter because of the issues that would be raised. How would you describe sort of the process to arrive at where you are? And also, inevitably, some people are pointing at the most recent missile launch by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. How do you think that impacted the negotiation of the treaty, and what would this treaty do? Not that the Security Council is solving it, but can you say anything that this treaty you think would do to address this pressing situation? Thanks a lot.
It certainly was one of the most issues, the most discussed issues in the negotiations, the issue of the possibility to withdraw from the treaty. And the will of the conference was to raise the threshold that already exists in international law, especially in the Vienna Convention of the Law of the Treaties, so that it will be not as easy to withdraw, and at the same time to have some additional standards. For instance, if you are a party to a conflict, that should be an impediment. It is very difficult when you have issues that are so that can be so controversial. It is already a success to be able to find common ground, and common ground usually means that nobody is actually satisfied with it, but they find a compromise solution that would be the second best for many delegations. And this is precisely what happened with this norm for the withdrawal, the potentiality to withdraw from the treaty. Of course, there were many other expressions, including from civil society, considering that this treaty should not have any possibility to withdraw. Nevertheless, international law, and specifically the law of the treaty, does allow for such action from any state. We therefore, the majority of the conference decided and opted for an option to increase the threshold. To what extent the existence of a norm influences the behavior of states? In this, you can always say the glass is half empty, half full. I would say that having a norm in place does play a role and does influence the behavior of states, of individuals, of societies. It also becomes a pressure, a standard of behavior. Having said that, having a norm to prohibit nuclear weapons, we strongly believe will play a fundamental role in shaping international politics in the future, and will also play a role in the development of new security paradigms for the 21st century. In that case, we also hope that will contribute to prevent that we have other experiences like the one that you are mentioning, or any future country that would like to develop a nuclear weapons program. What I think the case of the current crisis we are seeing places at the center stage of the international community the need to act and to move and to make progress towards nuclear development. Since we are reminded constantly that nuclear weapons do exist, their power is way beyond our human imagination, and the decision to use them is in the hands of human beings. And I think the current crisis has reminded the international community of that reality, precisely because in the last times, ever since September 9/11, we were concerned with dealing as international community and the national level. All of us were very concerned in dealing with the issue of terrorism. And the international crisis has reminded us that the threat and the risk of nuclear weapons has not gone away. We, of course, still have to make a progress in terms of fighting terrorism, but the risk is there, and we cannot look the other way. We need to address this risk, and the international community has to develop means to deal with this threat. Developing a norm is one of them.